Alright guys, TacticalRab here, and I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Big drama emerging last night as it turns out multiple pro players are either on the verge of being banned or already have been banned on their official CDL accounts for using an unlock tool to get all the customization options available in the game. This is against the rules, and now some other accounts are getting banned as a result. The feeling from the league seems to be play stupid games, win stupid prizes, but some of the teams are saying that if the teams and the players actually face repercussions for this, there may be some forfeits coming over the coming weeks because many of these teams simply will not be eligible. What is the IQ of these players in the league right now? Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. First of all, Minnesota Rocker, they confirmed Vivid is gone. Don't think they've officially confirmed yet that Awakening is gone, but we know that is coming and the game starts tomorrow. They play FaZe as their first game back with Gunless and Standy in the team. That's not yet confirmed yet either. I imagine it will be very shortly. But yeah, Vivid is gone. What do you think about this, right? Because for me, Standy for Vivid doesn't make that much sense on paper. They're bringing in, sure, one that maybe is going to slay a bit harder, but definitely doesn't have the pace that Vivid has. But is there a trend with Vivid over the last few years in the same way that Asim seems to get teams and then gets dropped? Vivid is kind of similar. He's been on many teams that he's been releasing over the last few years. The eye test still tells you Vivid's a great player, but for whatever reason, it doesn't seem like he always meshes with his teams. I don't know if it's like a personality thing as well. Behind the scenes, we don't really get to see, because on paper, you can't really see why this move would make that much sense, but they're doing it. Vivid is officially gone, and you know, I guess we'll see whether the time will come for him to get back in the league, because the timing is not on the side of these players released now. As I've said before, we've had the run from the Major 1, obviously in Boston, through to Major 2 in Miami, and then we've had a good couple of weeks break here for the teams to figure out what they want to do. From now until effectively the World Championship, there are 11 straight weeks of Call of Duty across the qualifiers, the majors, the qualifiers, and then the major yet again. That means that teams can still make changes, but it becomes somewhat less likely they will. And if they do, they'll probably have to change them mid-qualifiers or like right after a major in like a 2 or 3 day window, which is going to happen after Toronto. So as iLLeY says, the first tweet that he's done since getting dropped from the Seattle Surge, released from Seattle Surge as we saw yesterday, that probably does it for me this year. Felt like I was final as well. It is what it is. So does it go into more detail on, you know, how he got to this point? And maybe one day we'll get some interesting behind the scenes information from iLLeY or from other teams or whatever, but understandably iLLeY doesn't want to say too much, as anything that he may say could be held against him in terms of getting signed elsewhere. Maybe other teams are unwilling to for various reasons, and I can understand that. We thought he was going to sign for Rocker though, that didn't happen. Mentioned yesterday that Ravens is plausible. I think there's other teams that could certainly improve from iLLeY, but I guess iLLeY's feeling is, yeah, I'm not in the greatest position right now to really join a team given the way the league is going for the rest of the season. I still feel like, though, teams should be interested. And if I'm iLLeY, you know, I'm turning the stream on every single day. You know, I'm keeping the presence up as much as I can. There is an argument, should he go to challenges? RCT's has gone to challenges. But I think for certain players that still have a reasonably high stock, you go to challenges, there's only something to lose. This is why Slasher, well, like, he's never going to go to challenges as far as I'm concerned, because he feels like, and probably justifiably, that him staying in the, you know, just as a good pro player that people know of and clearly rate as a top player, he will get another opportunity. If you go to challenges as Slasher, you're probably only likely to tank your stock if things go badly. And if you win a fair few things and play really well, then it's like, well, it's only challenges, right? So what is there to gain? For some players, there's a lot to gain. If you're like a player that's near the bottom of the league, you're getting dropped because you weren't quite good enough, sure, obviously you're going to go on challenges again. And maybe that applies to RCTs in the sense that if RCTs doesn't, which he is, go and play challenges, can he build up his stock to where it needs to be to get signed again? Maybe not. So I think that's why RCTs is doing the challenges stuff. iLLeY may not. Maybe it's best for him to do so. But yeah, there is a debate on that to be had, because just another shame for iLLeY, right? And sure, it's his own fault at the end of the day as far as I'm concerned, based on the information that we have. But he was genuinely top 10 player in the game during Stage 1, and the fact that we've seen him play Stage 1 and nothing else for the rest of the year is just highly unfortunate after what the last couple of years have been for him and the potential that he clearly has, but has just not yet been realised in his career. And as Paddy P says, I see you cooking in something else in your future. Of course, he's trying to talk about X-Defiant, isn't he, right? And saying, look, maybe the X-Defiant Pro League is calling, but they need to drop the game first, which would kind of help. But let's talk about all this bannable offense-related drama, because this is pretty wild to me. We've heard rumors of stuff like this before, but I don't think it's ever been quite as explicit necessarily as this. So Spinjay Asim says, bro, CDL players can't be serious using unlocked tools on their league accounts. Now, look, on the official CDL accounts that the teams play on, should they have access to everything? Yeah, let's be real. Like, they should just have everything unlocked. They don't, and therefore some of the players, let's say quite a lot of the players, are using, cheats, effectively unlock tools, to not, hack or wall hack or aimbot or anything to this effect, but just to unlock everything on the account, which, Activision perceive, if anybody else does this, as stealing, right? Because they're taking their IP for free, effectively using cheats to do so, in what is not their property. That's how it is being perceived, and that is how it is perceived if any normal person uses an unlock tool and gets found out for doing so. So, as Benji Nassim says here, this is rather interesting, and Fellow has a reply that we will certainly get to in a second. And aBeZy, it's got to be funny, right, that aBeZy is the first guy to talk about this, just because of all the drama about him potentially breaking GAs a while ago, and here we go. So as he says, I just got banned on my CDL account. So we have seen players get banned, Pro League players not really, but Jimba, of course, is the big example, was a pro during Vanguard on Vegas Legion, or Paris Legion as it still was, I think, at the time, maybe not, I gotta forget the timeline of that team. And then he played in the Challengers side and got banned for cheating at the Challengers World Championship, rather famously indeed. aBeZy, though, says, I just got banned on my league account. And Clay says this in the reply. So it's not like aBeZy's been cheating, per se, but that's not necessarily how Activision will see it. As Clay replies, I know someone who got banned for the camos too. They had to pay a fine. So I wonder who this could be. I imagine it's a pro player, right? Who was, banned for this camo cheating stuff. And clearly that information didn't get around to some of these other pro players, and they had to pay a fine to the league to get rid of it. So I find it mind-blowing that the pros would even attempt this, right? I do agree with Spinner Spencer's angle that play stupid games, get stupid prizes. Because, what do you think you're doing here? Let's be real. Downloading this unlock tool or whatever to get all the stuff for free, and sure, it should be given for free anyway, but these are the official league accounts, and you're going to get banned on them? Let's be real here. So, as aBeZy actually says, I never broke GAs, and everyone is using this for camos. So, as he says, last I checked, only 3 pros were banned. You talk alone, my friend. No one care about you. So, aBeZy's absolutely frying you on the timeline. But that was the point. Which other players were banned as well? I haven't actually seen any other tweets from these guys, but this was going around on the Reddit, so, take it with a bit of a grain of salt. But my understanding is that, yeah, other pros were banned because of this, Vivid and Drazah being 2 of them, and apparently Beans as well. So, yeah, what a world we're living in, where players are getting banned for using an unlocked tool in the league. Now, what are going to be the repercussions here? That is the question, because, as EasyMac says, I might be in the minority, but I personally think that should be a suspension for a couple of weeks. If there's proof that an unlocked tool was used, it's case closed, because it's cheating, it's stealing, whatever you want to say at the end of the day, and I'm sure Activision don't look especially kindly on it. But as Fellow says, yeah, half the league is about to get banned, so we've already had a few dominoes that have fallen, and maybe over the coming days, way more of these CDL accounts are going to get banned for this unlocked tool cheese. So yeah, the feeling is that maybe there should be some sort of a suspension here. I don't think the league would do that, because as Clay says, people, if they get banned, are probably going to have to pay a fine to get this thing removed. But it's if this has been known a little bit, but it's not been talked about and known as widespread as it was last night based on these discussions. Now this is known in the public domain properly. Now Activision is aware that people know that pros have been doing this. The pros are meant to be those that represent the game at the highest level. Those are the ones that Activision Blizzard, with their Call of Duty League that they made and pay for. Okay, basically the teams pay for it with the ridiculous amount of money they had to spend. But you know what I mean. It's their league. The pros are meant to uphold the highest possible standards in the league. And yet, Activision is looking at half of their pro players effectively stealing stuff from them using these cheating unlock tools, not necessarily setting the best picture in terms of role models, shall we say, to other people. If Clay Clay, okay, let's say not Clay because he doesn't seem to have used it, but let's say Drazah, Vivid, you know, aBeZy or whatever, pro players are using this tool, why shouldn't I use the tool type thing is the implication. So apparently because the account gets banned, they then have to create a new account, which takes time and effort, and therefore they have to pay a fine as a result. Pretty funny here, reply at the end of the thread. And yes, Spinner Spence says, working for the league side, what's the saying again? Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Feel like this logic could be applied here, because I just don't understand how stupid you gotta be to try and do this type of stuff, because it's only gonna end badly. And the funny thing is, Sib, this guy can't shut his mouth, can he? I actually love him for it. I know that he's been a controversial character, Sib, even before he was a pro back in MW19, kind of famously. He had his moments, shall we say. But this guy is always yapping about stuff. And as Jake Hell says, surely COD pros aren't using unlock tools for camos on their accounts. Spinner Spencer's like, surely not. That would be outrageously stupid. And Sim's like, aBeZy, what's good, brother? So making it very clear what the circumstances are. That this is when things get kind of interesting in terms of what the repercussions of this may or may not potentially be. Because as Fellow said, half the league is about to be banned if we go through with this. And Brian Saint, of course, coach of the Ravens, coach of Tyler Fellow, they're now out there in Charlotte with their facility, probably an apartment. I guess we'll see when they turn on the stream for their matches, or probably just match this weekend. We can actually see it right about here. I'm down for the ban. We would be 3-0 these next 2 weeks. So Saint is basically saying, yeah, we ain't doing any of this stuff. We haven't been doing this cheating unlock tool stuff with Fellow, Clay, TJ and Gwyn. But he seems to imply that the guys that they play over the next couple of weeks, because he could have said we'd be 7-0 or whatever, but you know, he says we'd be 3-0, so the implication is that, well, let's look at these teams, looking at Surge, looking at Subliners. Okay, so Surge obviously because of aBeZy. Subliners, the implication is that it's somebody on there as well, even though it was Sib who was atting, Sib is on Subliners, right? He was atting aBeZy, so whether one of his teammates is using it and they're about to get banned, I don't know. And then Gorillas. So, you know, whether you think that Brian Saint's been straight up about who he thinks has actually been abusing this, but whatever, the point still stands. If there is repercussions, because if aBeZy's account is banned, they play this Sunday, theoretically they can get him an alternate account because they have their normal accounts, then they have their official CDL accounts, which I think they scrim on, and then they play the actual proper matches on as well, on their league PCs or whatever. But if they weren't able to create a new account after the other one got banned within a certain time frame, would that create problems for these games? Is there a world in which if aBeZy is still banned come Sunday, they have to play with a substitute? The issue is, who is their substitute? It's probably Rambo Ray, their coach, right? Because that's how some of these teams operate nowadays. Last year, Surge actually had a sub. This year, well, they probably did have one, but they've dropped Nasties, they've dropped iLLeY. So that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. I don't imagine this is going to affect the official CDL games, but I guess it can't be entirely ruled out. And as Austin says, that is just such a dumb risk to take for these players. In CS, players got banned for 2 years for using exploits in pugs. Technically, it's a hack. If we were CS, it would be the same punishment. Because this is true, like, players, either young players or even players that deliberately use exploits to gain some degree of competitive advantage, they get banned by Valve. Now, this isn't gaining a competitive advantage, right? So maybe it's a little bit different. It's not using something that you know is going to give you an edge. It's just, you know, unlocking stuff for the fun of it, but nonetheless using something against the rules to do so. It's a bit of a grey area. Look, I wouldn't say this is a 2-year ban, but I would say that I wouldn't be surprised if there was some sort of ban, and Austin said, you know, 1 to 2 weeks or something, and as he says, yeah, technically it's a hack. If we were CS, we'd have the same punishment. It's a bad luck for pros getting banned for downloading even a small exploit. And as Fellow says, hey man, I'm a no camo user, don't look at me, I'm following the rules. And Clay says Carolina rural feds, because we saw the other day that he was talking about the visas of some of these other players that potentially are playing illegally in the league. So it seems like it's whatever it takes mode right now for the Ravens. They're going to expose the players who are using the camo exploit so they can get them banned. They're going to expose the illegals in the league so they can get deported. I don't know. And, you know, so Ravens doing whatever it takes to get to the top, it seems. But yes, Gravity says, no sympathy for anybody doing this. That is straight up cheating. I worked hard and grinded for all of my camos. But very much interested your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.